You're listening to the Before You Market podcast. In a world of endless tactics and fleeting trends, we're here to show you why putting your brand first changes everything. Join us as we explore how a brand-first strategy can revolutionize your marketing. Get ready to rethink marketing. This is Before You Market.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Before You Market podcast, where we challenge you to, yes, that's right, rethink marketing. To help us in this endeavor, we have invited some of the best marketers in the business to enlighten you on your path to what we have dubbed a brand first awakening. So Joe Pulizzi, along with past Before You Market guest Robert Rose, is one of my all-time go-to experts for content marketing. He even founded the Content Marketing Institute. So you could say, you know, he's pretty much the Godfather of content marketing. He and Robert also co-host a great podcast called This Old Marketing Podcast, to play on This Old House. And he loves the color orange, like a lot. Loves the color orange, like it's almost an obsession. Yes. So Joe, please take a moment and introduce yourself to these fine folks.
John, thank you for having me. Actually, I'm not wearing the full orange today. I'm wearing the orange highlighted because I didn't want to come on too strong. I was sensitive to that. It's great being here. I'm, as you said, I've been in the marketing, content, storytelling business for 25 years now. Crazy. So I started in publishing and sort of took those chops that I learned in publishing and brought it over to marketing. And I still do it today. And you mentioned the podcast, and I've got a newsletter called The Orange Letter. That's my personal newsletter. And really what I'm keeping busy with now is launched a new initiative with publisher Lulu called Tilt Publishing. And we basically help content creators and marketers launch their books. And when they do that, to sell directly as well, which is very near and dear to my heart. Maybe we'll get into some of that discussion.
I believe
going direct and not around through social and Amazon and Facebook and all those other things. So just trying to, you know, as I change careers again, just trying to continue to educate people about the importance of storytelling. And here we are going to talk about it today.
You're doing the good work, and we as content creators absolutely appreciate you and all of those you work with. So it's been a while since you and I have last spoke, and much has changed in your world, and much has changed in the world around us. We are, I believe, on the verge of World War III. Which should result in some really great movies and songs, which I'm really looking forward to. So we obey our robot overlords. So robots, if you're watching, we're obeying. And The Rock now, Dwayne The Rock Johnson now actually feels like a viable option for president of the United States. So,
oh, yes, absolutely. I would definitely vote for.
Yeah. Oh, no question. These are strange times, ladies and gentlemen, is my point. But we have lots to cover here, and I'm excited. Joe, are you excited? You ready?
I'm excited. I want to do this. Let's go.
Let's do this. So I asked your buddy Robert Rose this same question and wanted your take. So Brand 3 is on a mission, as we said, to bring about a brand first awakening in marketing. So from a content standpoint, how important is brand now with content marketing, and do you see it growing in importance in the future?
Well, I think it's severely important and still severely underutilized by most organizations out there. I would have thought by this point that we would have right-sized and moved more from interruption marketing, which is generally what most of us do, into positioning ourselves as a leading expert in something through valuable content creation to a targeted audience. My goal is to increase my brand awareness or my positioning in some way. I want to do that by delivering consistently helpful information to my target audience. And I think the best way to think about it is, if you're going into any industry and you have a target audience, you say, how do I become the leading expert in this thing so I can help my audience get a better job, live a better life, do something And if I can do that, they'll probably buy some stuff from us. I love that way to go. I'm not turned on by marketing that is just wants to sell stuff all the time. I'm just not. It doesn't interest me. Usually the company with the biggest budget wins from that scenario.
Yeah.
I and there's lots of big companies out there that are winning because they're throwing these crazy budgets at social and television advertising, whatever that means today. But I want to think more thoughtfully or be more thoughtful about my marketing. So that's what I would do. I'm thinking, okay, I'm a company. I want to affect my audience of buyers in some way. How do I become a leading expert into something that they really care about and they really need? And if I do that well over a long period of time, my customer will be successful and I will be successful as a company as well.
Yeah, I agree. I would rather have that than someone begrudgingly giving me money because I'm, just happen to be the most top of mind. I want to win them over on value and not just
yeah.
blast.
And by the way, John, we talked about this before. I don't have anything against advertising. I have nothing against advertising. But that game is being played. Yep. Everyone listening to this is playing part of that game. What's not being done as well is, wow, can somebody actually want to receive my marketing?
Right.
Wow. Well, think about that. That's exciting to me. That's something that I think everyone listening to this could think about a little bit differently with their marketing and do something substantial, not only in their company, but with their marketing careers.
I love the line from Ann Handley. She said, make marketing so good that your customers will thank you for it.
Right.
I mean,
absolutely. I think about that with Lego all the time. We got just a quick story. My kids still love Lego, and Lego sent their magazine in, and it's like they grab it out of the mail. This is a print publication, by the way, and sit with it for 30 minutes. Come on. They're selling this is little plastic bricks. They've been able to do that. By the way, I was a subscriber to Lego magazine in 1987 called Brick Kicks. So they've had a very long, I've spent a lot of money with Lego over the years, because they decided to deliver something of value to me in 1987.
That value has turned the Pulizzi family into a multi-generation Lego evangelist family.
Yeah. I have the damage on my feet from stepping on them over the years. So there you go.
Exactly. So I want to talk about your new book, The Content Entrepreneur, which is great. And the origin story of this book is really kind of wild and wildly inspiring. And you basically formed a posse, and together you wrote a book. And I've been watching a lot of Westerns lately, so that's where my head is at. But
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So first, if you could tell our viewers a little bit about that journey, and then I'd love to hear your advice to a small business owner who might be thinking about writing a book.
Well, not to get too much in the weeds, but when we launched Content Marketing Institute, my wife and I own that. We sold in 2016, and I left that in 2018. And then during COVID, started something called The Tilt. And The Tilt was a content creation newsletter. It was a newsletter dedicated to content creators that wanted to be what we call content entrepreneurs, that want to do this as a full-time business. And I thought, as part of that, not only to financially support the business, but to support the entire business model, is I want to know who our true fans are, or our true believers are. So basically, we created a VIP membership package for about 75 people. They paid a bit of money, and those people are still members of our little community today. And we go out to them we have an event every year of the August 2025 called CEX, Content Entrepreneur Expo. We get together at those events. We get together every month. We have an expert on. So we're a real tight-knit community. I know these people. I know where they live. We're friends together. So it's a really interesting community. When we started, it wasn't that way. But over the last 3-4 years, we got together. And the one thing we thought was missing as a group was there's no real book. There's a lot of content creation books. I mean, I've written a lot of content marketing books, but there was no book really out there to say, okay, you're a marketer, you have a side job, you're working somewhere else, but you want to be a content creator. What are the things you need to think of to do this as a full-time business. So we created the book, The Content Entrepreneur. We did it together. It was not easy because when you get 33 people together to write, so basically 33 people of the 75 decided they wanted to co-write this book.
Right.
We got together at the second CEX in 23 and started planning it out. And of course, the book is now available, came out a year later. And it was a labor of love. Everybody put a lot into it. Everybody has their own chapter. And so just from a helpful standpoint, anybody that's trying to build an audience, who are your true fans? As Kevin Kelly says, who are your 1,000 true fans? So we found ours for the tilt, and they help us shape the entire business. When I need something, they're there. When they need something, they come to me. It's great. Wouldn't that be awesome if you could go to your customers all the time and say, hey, we want to launch this. What do you think? Or I need you at this event. Can you be there? I mean, that's the type of relationship. And I think that that's possible if you're delivering value all the time, which is what we are trying to do. And we came together, wrote a book, and it's done fairly well. And that's the story. So basically, who's your audience? And then how do you bring that audience in as close to you as possible? You understand their needs and pain points, and then help you create ongoing information to help the larger audience beyond them.
I mean, it's really taking all of the drum beating advice from the last 10 or 15 years of involve your audience, ask your audience, get them excited about something, and you've just amplified it to the next level. So you've got now not only 33 authors, but 33 cheerleaders and their networks to help spread the word around this book. So I think it's an interesting thing to look at for business owners if they are looking at writing a book is bring your customers in, involve them in some way. And so, I think that's a great advice.
Well, I mean, and if you look at it just from a larger marketing standpoint, I've been doing some speeches lately, and I'm like, okay, your employees and your best customers, they're your best marketers.
Right.
So, and by the way, they're creating content too. They're doing they have audiences, and probably their audiences are your audiences. You just don't know them yet. So if you think about that and how that works together, really, really powerful. And I think sometimes we tend to overthink, the market, the sales journey, the buyer's journey, all that stuff is really good. But hey, they're right in front of you, and they probably love you so much as a company, as a brand, that they're willing to do a little bit more. So ask them.
Absolutely.
They will. And the answer might surprise you.
Or start a podcast and invite some of the best marketers around to come on that podcast. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe they might share it out to their networks. We'll see.
They might. You never know.
Send them like a gift bag or something. So I've also seen musicians and comedians and other artists self-publishing their content, basically going around the traditional publishing avenue. And we've seen podcasts that are getting audience numbers that a broadcast TV show would kill for. So my question is, are we finally in that new era? Is the power shift happening that is tipping towards the content creator, or am I just being really?
No, it's a good question, but it depends on what you say by power shift. I mean, the power is still with the big money, and the big money is still with traditional publishing. Now, if put that to the side and just forget about power shift and just talk about what's the best way to communicate with customers today. It's not through the traditional pay to play. And it's with, there's all these ways that I can reach my customers. How do I do that effectively? It's not through a sales pitch. It's generally through something else. So what is that? And do you have some kind of a point of view? That's where a lot of, if we just talk about basic marketing, that's where we tend to go wrong, because we're like, let's just talk about cloud computing in this way. And we've got to list this information and be very educational, and all that might be true. But if you don't have a point of view, who cares? You have to have something. We call that, in my second most recent book, Content Inc., I talk about this idea
Another
called
great
the content tilt. Is that what is that differentiation that you can break through all the content clutter out there? So if you're sitting here thinking I can be a content creator, I am a content creator, you have to think of how am I going to break through all the other noise? It's really, really difficult to do that. And you have to do it over a long period of time. So you listen to this old marketing podcast, Robert Rose and I, we talked about Mr. Beast years ago, probably 2017, 2018, and said, Mr. Beast is probably going to have the largest media company in the world. And he's well on his way to doing that right now, an individual content creator. But what we forgot was Mr. Beast's journey. Mr. Beast's journey was he focused on one channel. He focused on being the best at that one channel, doing it consistently over a long period of time. Started in 2012. Didn't get 30,000 subscribers, followers till 2016. So did this for 4 years, did the hard work, and now has, as we record this, 346 million subscribers. Most companies, most content creators aren't willing to do that kind of work.
Right.
So yes, when you hear about all these creators and you get the very famous people and people running for president are trying to be on these content creator led podcasts and YouTube channels and TikTok channels. It's amazing what they've been able to do. But then look at what they've done. They focused on a niche topic. They focused on a very particular audience. They deliver value to them consistently over years to get to where they are. And that's why when you or I do a speech about content marketing to somebody, they get very excited. And I have to say, hey, if you're thinking this is a 6-month, 9-month thing, go interrupt people. Go do something else. Don't do content marketing. Content marketing is a labor of love for yourself and for your customer. It's going to take time. You got to really want it. You got to work for it. It is a marathon, not a sprint. So that's where we get in. So back to your question. Absolutely not power shift. Big opportunity. Absolutely for those who are willing to do the work over a long period of time, break through and build that audience.
Well, every time someone says, quotes Malcolm Gladwell and talks about 10,000 hours, I think a kitten dies, but I'm going to do it anyway. You know, like Malcolm Gladwell said, you got to put in your 10,000 hours. I mean, it's just, there's no way around it.
There's no, when somebody asks me, I always say, you know what, minimum 9 months. I mean, like when we looked at the case studies over the years, John Lee Dumas and Entrepreneurs on Fire with his podcast, he was probably the first one that I know that hit that 9-month mark, that was making significant money, building an audience, and it took about 9 to 12 months to do that. If you look at what we did with Content Marketing Institute, it took 3 years. To build a minimum viable audience, enough that we had an audience that we could persuade them to buy other things. So if that we were a media model, so it's a little bit differently. But if you are a marketer and you're trying to do this, I would say it's got to be 12 to 18 months that you got to put in. That's why a lot of these things are pilot programs. They're run under the radar. You've got to position them as, hey, we're testing things until you get to a point where, oh my God, look at what this is doing. And then you get organizational buy-in for something like that.
It's wild. It's for content marketing world, it was an institute. It was a 3-year overnight success.
It's funny. Oh, it came out of nowhere. We started what became Content Marketing Institute 2007 is when I left traditional publishing and launched the business April 2007. Crazy. And I thought we were going out of business for the first 3 years. Like I would wake up in a sweat. I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. And then all of a sudden, September 2011, Content Marketing World was born as our first key product. And, from there on, it was successful. But
it's funny. I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but I was talking to one of our development managers at my old company, and I used the term content marketing. And this was like 2009 or 2010 or something like that. And he goes, that sounds like a made up term. I said, no, they have their own institute.
Did you tell him, oh, it sort of was a made up term?
Yeah,
it sort of was. Yeah, it was. And by the way, this is just
everything in marketing is a made up term.
It was a way to organize the audience, because when we launched in 2007, it was called custom media, custom publishing, customer media, branded content, branded journalism. It was called 1,000 different things. But again, you got to remember, when you launch these things, you have to call it something that will resonate with that audience. And what do we know about marketers? Everything the marketers do is something marketing.
Yep.
It's search engine marketing, it's social media marketing, it's direct marketing. Everything is blank marketing. And we were calling it publishing.
Right.
No CMO is interested in doing publishing, but they're all interested in doing content marketing because it's blank marketing. So it's just, again, we talked about understanding your audience. Who's your audience? And how do you get things done with that audience? You call it what it's supposed to be called. So
exactly.
It is a made up term, though.
So just slap marketing on something and you're off and running.
It's marketing. Yeah,
it's marketing. It's just marketing. So you mentioned noise. So why don't we talk about AI? So I was gonna put together a question about AI, and then I thought, you know what? Let's say, hey AI, ask Joe Pulizzi a question, which is what I did. So I went into ChatGPT, and this is what ChatGPT wants to know from you specifically.
Okay, this is fascinating.
With AI rapidly transforming content creation, how do you see content marketers maintaining authenticity and trust with their audiences in this evolving landscape?
Well, thank you, ChatGPT, for that question. To be a little bit honest and negative,
please.
Most brands aren't authentic and aren't trustworthy. They don't deserve any of that, any trust, because most of the content creation that you see, that I see out there, it's terrible. It's mediocre at best. It probably is lacking in substantial goals of any kind to the audience. So so it's not a very high bar, John. It's not. I mean, if you just did average work, you would be probably better off if you're a company. I mean, do an audit. And by the way, don't take my word for it if you're listening to this. Do an audit of your own company stuff. I love a visual audit. It's like my favorite thing. Get all the marketers and executives into a room and print out, so you can see it and feel it. Print out the content you're creating. See, obviously you can't do the videos, but do it with blog posts and do it with some of your imagery, some of your newsletters, your educational content. You'll realize that this is stuff that you don't even want to read.
Right.
And probably don't. So ChatGPT, I'll go back to your question. It's not going to affect it at all, because it's not there. Now, what I would like to say is that if you are authentic, which is an overused term, but if you do want to help let's say you do really want to help your audience.
Let's say real and of value.
Let's say you want to deliver real value to your audience outside the products and services that you offer. That's the true definition of content marketing. You do that through communication. If you really want to do that, then AI can help you with all the mundane tasks that you probably shouldn't be doing anyways. So I'll give you my own example on how I use AI. So I use Descript to publish my Content Inc. podcast, which is my 5-minute podcast. We use StreamYard, which is what we're using right now to do our This Old Marketing podcast. I use things for transcription. I used a ChatGPT Pro for ideation. For persona, I got persona development in there. I mean, I ask questions. I've got a little persona built up. I can ask questions to it. Those things I think are truly valuable. If I can save time on the mundane tasks that theoretically, I don't know if it's true, but theoretically will help me think more about the problems of my audience and deliver better, more interesting, more valuable information to them, then that's how AI can help me. That's how I've been coming at AI since the beginning, since the late teens when it was really starting to come out, since November 22, when ChatGPT first came on the scene. It's always been, how do we stop doing the things that we probably shouldn't have been doing in the first place, that we just got all this mundane day-to-day task type things, and how can we use that to spend more time thinking and acting on the problems of our customers? Thank you, ChatGPT. Very good question.
Even better, way better answer. No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it has removed, writing is hard. Anne Handley says that all the time, and she writes about writing.
Yeah.
Writing is hard, and getting started is hard, and I think that's where AI has done tremendous things. Is getting you over those mundane and sort of boring and tedious tasks so that you can get straight into the creation part, which is the fun part. So
yeah. And by the way, it's, I mean, look, so many people, because of AI tools, can create average content
right.
more than ever before.
Yep.
So it's basically AI for right now, and this probably won't hold true in the future, but right now it's average intelligence content. You're seeing, and we're seeing that now that I'm more involved in the book industry, you're seeing thousands of books a week that are being created by AI tools. Really, you're just, hey, here's what I would like the book to be.
Right.
Write it. And you know
Right.
what? It will. And by the way, it'll create a podcast about it. And it'll
Right.
do it that you don't even know that it's a computer. It is astounding, amazing, and terrifying all at the same time. But as a speaker, I still do a lot of speaking. The speaking inquiries have probably gone up,
right?
Because people still want the person.
Yep.
Behind that. So again, you look at your content marketing strategy as an organization. People are more important than ever before. You're seeing that happen in like newsletters. Look at New York Times, what they're doing with their newsletters, where they have 60 of them and whatever the number is. And it used to just be a name of whatever the name of the newsletter is, and it was a logo and whatever. Well, half of those right now are people. They're
right.
people's pictures. And I would imagine in a year, they'll all be people, because people want to connect with other people. So your newsletter, you might want that not to come from your company or your content brand. You might want it to come from a person who they can reach out to and talk to and have at events and write books and those types of things. And I think that's a big opportunity for people right now. Not human to computer. Yeah.
Yes. Human to human, people to people. Yes, absolutely. That's the new shiny object, which is I fully support. By the way, you mentioned not being able to tell when something's real or not. I'm not yet fully convinced that Chris Penn is real. I think that Chris Penn is a made up person in Boston who the computers have generated, and I don't know. I don't think he could possibly exist in the real world. So, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be on this podcast soon. So.
Well, okay, so I know Chris really well. I've been friends with Chris for years, but I do think he carries around a small computer with him. That basically that's why he's so much smarter than everyone else, because I don't think it's possible for an average human being to be that smart.
No, it's not.
So there's something, and I mean, without being weird about it, I'm trying to look. Like when I see him, I saw him at a conference a few months ago. I'm like, where are the
wires, Chris?
Where's the other GPU? Yeah, where's
the off button?
He's hidden it really well.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. So as usual, we have a bonus question, and this one is from one of our genius strategists, Sarah Patizal, and she asks, you've emphasized the importance of focusing on audience needs to make your company stand out. Aside from when an audience tells you what they need or want, what other methods do you find most effective for identifying and understanding these needs? Then what steps do you take to turn that information into a compelling story that resonates? And I can read those parts again if you want.
Sarah, geez, you're killing me, Sarah.
It's
not only the one amazing question, you added the follow-up to it. Yes, and I'm over 50 now, and I can't remember anything.
Right. So the two questions again were, aside from when an audience tells you what they need or want, what other methods do you find most effective for identifying and understanding these needs? Then what steps do you take to turn that information into a compelling story that resonates?
Lots of ways to answer this. I would probably push back on that and say that most organizations really don't they think they know what their audience wants, but they really don't, because they're not spending enough in-person time. And I've been talking about this since I got into in-person events in the late 90s. The best way is face-to-face talking and in contact with your customer, your buyer, your audience, whatever the case is. I would, in working on a lot of content marketing programs over the years, 90% don't talk to their customer, their audience face to face.
Right.
So when I know that, and by the way, Sarah knows this, you can get that information off of Google. Look at what people are searching for. You can do wonderful surveys. I love surveys. So do the surveys as much as you can get. But the best way to do it is an in-person conversation with lots of your customers, lots of your audience. So that means, as part of your marketing program, you need to send human beings that are part of your marketing team out to human events, in-person events all through the year. And I would say there's probably not a month that should go by that you don't have your marketing team, your content creation team, talking to other people at the event. And it's not easy to do. You actually have to go to the show, wherever it is. Then you have to actually talk to people and like strike up real conversations. Most people don't do this anymore. So you have to do that. So get that information. And then what you would like to do, if you're doing this really well, you send 2 or 3 people to this event, you distill that, you get together with them in a meeting, and you distill what you found so that you can start brainstorming that together and figure out a way that you can insert that into your content plan. I would say less than 1% of companies do that. That's the best. I'm not saying you have to do that. You can still be successful and never see your customer face to face. But man, you're taking the hard road. So to answer Sarah's question, figure out that in-person route, talk to them, have your list of questions. I mean, basically just get to know them. I mean, we talked about before, but I have 70, 75 people that I rely on an ongoing basis to tell me where I'm right, where I'm wrong, what their challenges are, why they're getting up in the morning, if they're not going to bed at night and they're not happy with themselves, why is that? I want to know that as their journey for a content creator, content entrepreneur. If I don't know that, I can't help with the Tilt newsletter. I can't help them publish a book. All that said, I do like the idea. We'll get back to AI here just for 1 second. I do like the fact that you can train a thread to be who is that persona. I want to take the 75 of those people and put that into a thread. So if it is 2:00 in the morning and I don't want to bother anybody, I can use that and talk to that persona in ChatGPT or whatever tool you're using, and then integrate that into the content plan. So the last thought that I have on that, John, is that I think that if you're not doing a consistent show, and that show could be anywhere, it could be a podcast, it could be a newsletter, it could be a YouTube channel, you're not going, it's going to be much more difficult for you to be able to approach those people and to get the kind of information you want to if you're not consistently going out there with your point of view, like kind of like poking the bear a little bit. You have to do that. If you don't do that, people aren't going to be as willing to talk to you about it. I mean, what's great about this whole marketing, we've been doing this whole marketing for 11 years now, almost 12 years. And people are very honest. They're so honest. You almost don't want to hear some of it sometimes. But that's what you want, right? Yeah. Like some people don't want to be fact checked and some people do. I want to be fact checked. I want people to say, Joe, you're wrong. And if I get to that point, then we really know that we've hit something on some need. And when you get that, to answer Sarah's second question, you take that information and you say, we have to put this into our content plan. What are we going to do about it? This is a major problem that we only uncovered because we've been sending out the signal for so long, and now we're getting something back.
Right. So
is there a third part to that question?
No. I was going to say, Joe knows you've got to go to the show. Yeah. That's his sage advice. No, I agree.
You're not going to get it on a Zoom call, folks.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it on a survey. You will get bits and pieces of information. Right. My mentor, Jim McDermott, who passed on a couple of years ago, he taught me when I got into publishing. He said, Joe, set up your listening posts and know them very well. What are your listening posts? Is it Twitter? Is it a survey? Is it talking to customers on a regular basis? Is it making reader calls? Is it whatever? What are those ways that you're getting that information so that you can distill that with your team and send out another signal to get, and then it's a flywheel. Then it just continues to work for you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you never just disappoint, Joe. This was all
I really wanted to, John.
I know.
I want to get on here and I just want to be the worst guest he's ever had.
Well,
this is like, I really want to disappoint him. How do I do that?
I'd like to think it was the quality of my questions.
You're very organized. You did send the questions ahead of time.
Yeah, about 4 hours ahead of time.
But you're always on time.
Yep.
I always can count on you, John.
Awesome. Joe, once again, thank you so much. And I can't wait for you to share this podcast out with
it's fun. I love, what I love about our conversations is we tell the truth. And that's all people want. Yep. They just want the truth. They don't want the canned answer. They want the point of view. So there you go.
So my apologies to Chris Penn, and thank you, everyone. And we're out.
Thanks for listening to Before You Market. Want more insights on revolutionizing your marketing strategy? Visit beforeyoumarket.com for all our episodes, exclusive content, and the Before You Market book. Remember, great marketing starts with a strong brand. We'll see you next time on Before You Market.